Welcome back to ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy, and this is all of the Easter eggs, references, and little things you might have missed in the first trailer for House of the Dragon Season 3. Now before we break down the trailer, let me give you a reminder of where we left off last season. The Targaryen Civil War has officially begun. The Greens, led by Otto Hightower and his daughter Alicent, put her son Aegon II on the throne, but then he was very badly burned, and his dragon was crippled. His brother Aemond wants the throne for himself, so Larys Strong smuggled Aegon and his injured dragon out of the city. Meanwhile, Aemond takes the Iron Throne and abandons the forces of Criston Cole up in the Riverlands, which is close to Daemon's host at Harrenhal. Now, Daemon last season saw visions of the future. He saw ice zombies, the three-eyed raven, and Daenerys Targaryen. So now he is dedicated to winning this war at any cost because he believes the entire world is at stake. After the death of Rhaenys Targaryen and her dragon, Rhaenyra's forces now need new dragons because they're outnumbered. So she recruits 3 bastards called Dragon Seeds to claim dragons of their own. These are Ulf White, Hugh Hammer, and Adam Hull. Alicent realizes that her son Aemond is actually a monster and that she wildly misunderstood her husband's dying words, so she decides to end the war by letting Rhaenyra into the Red Keep. And this pretty much is where this season picks up, with Rhaenyra's counselors and her son urging her to not trust Alicent. So the trailer starts with Alicent returning to the Red Keep while her son Aemond sits on the throne. Notice she is now wearing blue instead of green. See, when Alicent was a girl and had her whole life ahead of her, she always wore blue. It was her favorite color. But after she found out that her best friend / secret crush Rhaenyra was sleeping around, she opted to wear the colors of her house, green. So this gave her side of the Civil War their name, the Greens, but it's also a symbol of how Alicent became ensnared by the conflicts of men seeking power. But now she has freed herself from that conflict and is wearing her original favorite color, blue. Notice, of course, that the Iron Throne has more swords than we saw in the original series. In George R.R. Martin's books, it's actually a great huge mound of swords, but they toned that down for the original show. Now, Aemond is immediately suspicious of his mom.
Where were you?
Remember, Aemond is a second son who has always been driven by his need to feel respected. For his entire life, people have tried to control him, his brother, his father, and especially his mother. So he is relishing the chance to prove that he's not a mama's boy and to put her in her place, which is frankly what drove her to Rhaenyra to begin with. And then Rhaenyra fills in her counselors on the new arrangement while they oversee the Great Stone Table. Now this is a map of Westeros. Aegon the Conqueror forged this map before his conquest, and we saw Stannis Baratheon and Daenerys Targaryen both use it in Game of Thrones, although they kept it in a much smaller room. And then we see Sir Criston Cole, the former member of the Kingsguard who wanted to run away with Rhaenyra, but then she shot him down faster than a knife fight in a phone booth, and he's wanted revenge ever since. In this season, he's leading the Greens army north into the Riverlands where Daemon is garrisoned at Harrenhal. Now later in the trailer, as Daemon says absolute power, we see Criston Cole crouching in a dragon's footprint. Remember, last season he finally saw the ferocity of 2 dragons fighting and it really shook him. This season he's going to be reckoning with that reality, that he and all of his armies are insignificant in the face of this kind of destruction. Well, I gotta go.
Wait, where are you going? We're in the middle of a video.
Dude, it's the holidays. We tour, I go places. I got a lot going on, but look, it's okay. I can finish the video. I can work from the road. I do it all the time. The thing is, guys, my job never actually stops, so I need a really good work travel bag. And this is the Tokyo work bag from Bellroy, and it has everything I could ever want in a travel bag. It is so intuitive. You can tell that Bellroy designed this based on what frequent travelers like me actually need. For instance, there is the main compartment for my laptop, but also a secondary compartment for my notebook and iPad. Plus, we have separate pockets here for the charger and also for the mobile hard drive, which I need because I do a lot of editing when I'm on the road. But even with all that, there's still room for my other cables and for my headphones. Plus, it has a raised mesh compartment, which is perfect for my sunglasses. But here's the thing, the bag has so many other convenient pockets, it's like I designed it for myself. Like this external pocket right here is where I keep everything that I know I'm gonna need immediately. We have a key clip for my keys, we have Doug's treats.
Oh, don't forget those.
And it's also where I keep my AirPods, which are also in a nice leather Bellroy case. While this document pouch in the back is for everything you need when you're traveling super quick, or like right now, I have this Star Wars Magic of Myth book inside of it. And there's also this water bottle compartment, and inside a hidden air tag compartment. The bag also features 3 ways to carry. You can do the handle, you can do the strap, and there's a luggage strap on the back. And I love this so much, there is a water resistant zipper plus an ultra wide opening, and this whole bag is made from recycled Duraweave because, and this is one of the many reasons I love partnering with Bellroy on this video, all of their main body fabrics and linings are made from 100% recycled materials. These are products that last with a 6-year guarantee for bags and other products like my AirPod case are guaranteed for 3. So right now you can get 10% off Bellroy.com using the link in the description below or by scanning our QR code. Bellroy also makes backpacks, travel bags, wallets, phone cases, and it also makes for a perfect gift to yourself or to others. Links are below. Now back to what I was saying. And then we see shots of Alicent returning to the Red Keep, intercut with Rhaenyra's oldest son, Jace. So here's something we did not get in the book. Like, the book is all third-hand accounts from a Septon and a Fool written like years later by a Maester. They had no idea that Aegon ever wrote a prophecy or that Alicent and Rhaenyra were such close friends. Their relationship and their love for each other is the heart of this story. See, all the two of them ever wanted to do was ride around on dragons together, but then the politics of these men got in their way and turned them into enemies. So Rhaenyra knows that she can trust Alicent because of their connection, a connection that is a secret from the rest of the kingdom and won't be recorded in the history books. And then we see a shot of Baela Targaryen, one of Daemon's twin daughters, riding her dragon Moondancer over the waters of the Gullet. Remember, her twin sister Rhaena did not have a dragon, but then season 2 ended with her approaching a wild dragon named Sheepstealer, which is a variation from the books when a commoner named Nettles earned the dragon's trust by bringing it sheep to eat. So this is our first look at the Battle of the Gullet, one of the biggest battles we will ever see in any Game of Thrones show. Last season, Tywin Lannister traveled to the Free Cities to seek the aid of the Triarchy. This is an alliance of 3 of the Free Cities, Lys, Myr, and Tyrosh. They were governed by a council of like 30 people plus, so they weren't an effective government for very long. But at this time and place, they are the largest naval power in the world. Westeros's fleet is largely owned and controlled by Corlys Velaryon, aka the Sea Snake. He sees the Triarchy as a major threat to his own wealth and power, so he has sided with Rhaenyra. Now, all of this is happening right when Rhaenyra sent her youngest sons, Aegon and Viserys, to travel to the Free Cities for their own safety. So they'll be caught right in the middle of this crossfire. Like 150 ships are destroyed in this battle. No spoilers, but it is going to be one of the biggest showpieces of the season and one of the biggest fights we've ever seen in Game of Thrones. So as we hear,
the king has abdicated the throne.
We see Aegon the Burned hiding with Larys Clubfoot, who is the master of spies who, like I said earlier, smuggled him out of the city.
Well, why did they leave?
Well, after Aegon was injured, his brother Aemond became king regent while his brother was recuperating, but like I said, Aemond is really power hungry. He wants the throne for himself. He's that kind of Targaryen. And Aegon's dragon is still alive, but near death, and it can't fly any longer. And then we see a war map with these folds in it, which I think implies that it's a map that's being used out in the field. I think this is Daemon's hand that places a dragon on this castle. So, based on contextual clues and the positions here, I think this is Daemon planning on how to retake King's Landing. The city is lightly defended, so there's only 2 icons on it, and the naval forces are in Blackwater Bay as he places a new dragon, symbolizing one of the dragons of the Dragon Seeds, who are the bastards that Rhaenyra just legitimized. And then we see a field camp with green pavilions, probably part of Criston Cole's army. This dragon is probably Tesseron, the Blue Queen. She is ridden by Daeron, Alicent's youngest son, who has been in Old Town for the war thus far. In fact, we've not even seen him once in this show, except when he was really small. Now, this is right when we see Ormond Hightower, who is Lord of House Hightower and the nephew of Otto Hightower. So he would be Alicent's cousin. And this takes us to Aemond's dragon, Vhagar, the oldest and largest and baddest dragon alive. Aemond always wants to be on the attack at all times, so he goes off on a tear, burning the Riverlands and anybody else who sided with the other team. And then we see Rhaenyra looking through fire, and I'm wondering if this could be at the first Battle of Tumbleton, which is a huge conflict in the books that I will not spoil for you guys. This is right when Daemon says,
"You are the Queen of Dragons."
So much of this series has been about Rhaenyra, I think up to now, using half measures. She tried to play the political game and keep the peace. She was trying to rule like her father would have wanted. But now she's listening to her uncle, who is always a fighter first and sorting out the bodies later. In fact, that's actually how we introduced Daemon in this show. In his very first scene, he led the Gold Cloaks to decimate the underworld of Flea Bottom. And then we get several shots of the Battle of the Gullet. The Sea Snake looking up, surprised. Maybe he sees one of the 10 dragons that are in this battle. My guess would be Vhagar. We also know that this ship belongs to the Sea Snake because we see his sigil in the background, and the commander here is Alan of Hull, who is the brother of Adam of Hull, the Dragon Rider. Now, earlier I said that they were the bastard sons of Laenor, which is true in the book, but in the show, Laenor is gay. So they made them the bastard sons of Corlys instead. Or maybe it's also this way in the book, but history just records them as being Laenor's bastards because his sexuality was not publicly known. Either way, Corlys Velaryon does have Targaryen blood, meaning that his bastards could claim a dragon. This is Daemon riding his dragon, Caraxes the Bloodworm. I don't want to give anything away, but this is probably in the Riverlands. Then these soldiers wearing black and red draw draw swords in front of the Iron Throne. So these could be forces loyal to the Greens. In the book, the forces that belong to the Greens all change their dragon sigils to gold to match the color of Aegon's dragon Sunfire. But they didn't really do that in the show, so these forces could be loyal to the Greens, like maybe Alicent Hightower is sitting on the throne after her son Aemond has left to cause havoc, but she's actually about to abdicate to Rhaenyra. Or this could be Rhaenyra on the throne, and the soldiers are drawing swords when Alicent or Otto enter the throne room. And then we see, this is so cool, the Winter Wolves. These are the forces carrying the banner of House Stark, note the Grey Wolf, and they are running into battle. Now, it's not really in the show, but in the book, Jace actually had a very long experience in the North. He became best buds with Lord Cregan Stark, and there are whispers that he fell in love with a common woman in the North. Now, the North is so far away that they've actually been largely absent from this conflict until now. Now, these guys are called the Winter Wolves because this is a force of about 2,000 really old grizzled Northmen who just march south. And this is while Cregan Stark's other forces are traveling by ship down to King's Landing. Now, in the North, it is customary for old men to leave their homes in the dead of winter to make sure there's enough food for the young people. So basically, these are a bunch of old dudes who left home to die. They have battle axes and rusty armor and nothing to lose. They are very badass. Now, this fight is probably the Butcher's Ball, which is a terror campaign that is waged by Criston Cole. And we see Criston Cole strangling a man because, look, this is a guy who is struggling to prove that his contributions in this world even matter when there's people riding giant death beasts over his head. And this is intercut with Daemon cutting through a knight in the Red Keep during the Battle of King's Landing. Alicent warns Aemon that they are vulnerable here.
Rhaenyra will send her new dragons here.
And this could be maybe why Aemon leaves. Maybe he wants to surrender King's Landing so he can go off and eventually win the war. That is, unless Alicent was lying to Rhaenyra and planning a double cross. So the total dragons in the war are now 7 dragons for the Blacks and only 3 for the Greens. But one of those is Vhagar, the big mama that rode alongside Aegon Targaryen during the conquest. Now here in the Battle of the Gullet, we see Jace's dragon Virmax, and Jace is one of the commanders of the Black's fleet along with Corlys. And then we see these shots of Rhaenyra locked up, which I don't believe are in the book at all. This could be that she's maybe locked up for her own safety while they fight for King's Landing. Or maybe the battle doesn't go well and she's locked up by the Greens. Then we get a close-up of Aegon's scarred face and Rhaenyra crying. Now, each phase of this war escalates when either she or Alicent lose a son. So, what's going to escalate the war this time? Who is going to lose a son at this phase of the battle? And this shot of Daemon screaming could be from the first Battle of Tumbleton, which is an absolutely brutal turning point for the war that, like I said, I'm not going to talk about here. You guys, I am beyond excited to be a Game of Thrones fan right now. We're about to get the finale of Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which is one of the best bits of Game of Thrones I've ever seen. This is getting to like the meat of this war. The battles are going to be huge and epic, bigger than anything we've ever seen in Game of Thrones before. I just hope that this season is able to stay focused on what I think is the real heart of this story, which is the relationship between Rhaenyra and Alicent. Remember, this whole conflict began with a great council, where it was decided that Jaehaerys' heir could not be a woman and it had to be Viserys. So the original sin of Westeros and of this entire war is sexism. And this season, we're going to see Rhaenyra tested more than she's ever been tested before. Again, I can't wait till the season happens so I can actually talk to you guys about it, but I don't want to spoil anything from the books. But let me know what you thought of the trailer down in the comments below, or you can at me on Twitter, Blue Sky Threads, or find me on our free-to-join Discord server where we are going to really be running down House of the Dragon this season. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe, smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.